France is in the midst of one of its most turbulent political periods in decades. French Prime Minister Sébastien Lecornu resigned Monday 6th of October, just hours after he unveiled his new cabinet, in a shock move that plunged the country further into political crisis. The Prime Minister, a key ally of embattled French President Emmanuel Macron, had not even been in office for 4 weeks, meaning he departs with the ignominious distinction of being the shortest-serving French Prime Minister since the Fifth Republic began. Lecornu's abrupt departure makes him the fifth Prime Minister in roughly 2 years since President Emmanuel Macron's re-election in 2022, underscoring the government's instability and Macron's struggle to maintain control of Europe's second-largest economy amid a growing fiscal crisis. Macron, who once styled himself as le maître des horloges, the master of clocks, now finds his timing and authority slipping. Recent reporting indicates that around 3/4 of French voters believe he should step down, while several of his former allies are urging him to call early presidential or parliamentary elections. Longtime ally Édouard Philippe, who served as Macron's first prime minister from 2017 to 2020, has urged him to appoint a technocrat prime minister and call presidential elections in an orderly manner. But Macron is more likely to dissolve parliament than step down. France's current instability stems from the June 2024 snap parliamentary elections, which produced a deeply divided and hung parliament. Macron's centrist Renaissance alliance lost its majority and now holds only about a quarter of the 577 seats in the National Assembly. The remaining seats are split between Jean-Luc Mélenchon's left-wing France Unbowed, the far-right National Rally, and the Conservative Republicans. This division has made it nearly impossible to pass a budget or major reforms. Every attempt at forming a cross-party coalition has collapsed amid ideological conflict and political manoeuvring ahead of the 2027 presidential race. Lecornu's resignation followed failed efforts to persuade rival parties to support an austerity budget aimed at tackling France's soaring public debt, which stands at about 3.3 trillion euros, roughly 114% of GDP, the third highest in the Eurozone after Greece and Italy. France's budget deficit is projected between 5.4% and 5.8% of GDP, nearly double the 3% limit set by the European Union. Two of Lecornu's predecessors, Michel Barnier and François Bayrou, were ousted in parliamentary no-confidence votes after proposing spending cuts and tax increases to stabilise the country's finances. Lecornu did not even reach that stage. Within hours of naming his cabinet, the Conservative Republicans withdrew support, making his position untenable. Within France's semi-presidential system, this gridlock exposes a constitutional tension. While the president controls foreign policy and defence, domestic and fiscal measures must pass through the National Assembly. Macron's weakened alliance can no longer guarantee the support needed to approve spending plans, leaving the government effectively constrained. Without a new budget, France may have to rely on provisional financing or roll over parts of the prior fiscal framework, limiting new policy initiatives. Macron's options are narrowing. He has asked Lecornu to stay on temporarily to hold last-ditch talks with rival parties and present a platform for action and stability. But few expect those talks to succeed. If they fail, the president may dissolve parliament and call snap elections within 40 days. However, polls suggest that the National Rally would emerge as the largest party, though still short of a majority. The left-wing bloc and Macron centrists would likely lose further ground, deepening the stalemate. Frustration extends beyond Parliament. French media have described the crisis as a tragic farce, and the unravelling of Macron's second mandate. Le Monde warned that the political class had become incapable of compromise, preferring electoral positioning over governance. Even within Macron's own party, figures like Gabriel Attal, who once served as Prime Minister and now leads Renaissance, have criticised the president's determination to keep control despite mounting dysfunction. The crisis also carries wider implications for Europe. France's fiscal instability comes at a sensitive time for the Eurozone, which relies on its two largest economies, Germany and France, to maintain overall stability. With French debt levels at historic highs and borrowing costs climbing, any prolonged political paralysis could undermine investor confidence across the bloc. Economists warn that if France fails to adopt a credible austerity plan soon, its debt-to-GDP ratio could climb further, potentially prompting new tensions with EU fiscal authorities in Brussels. For now, Macron remains defiant. He has repeatedly ruled out resigning before his mandate ends in 2027, insisting that France must continue to move forward. Yet his presidency has rarely appeared weaker. Former allies are distancing themselves. Rivals on both extremes are calling for elections, and markets are losing patience. The country's fiscal outlook is deteriorating, its leadership fragmented, and its citizens increasingly disillusioned. As one observer put it, France today feels like a nation stuck in time, waiting for the master of clocks to regain control. Whether Emmanuel Macron can restore stability, or whether France is heading toward another painful electoral showdown, will define not only his legacy, but the direction of Europe's second largest economy in the months ahead. If you found this analysis insightful, like, comment, and subscribe for more deep dives into the stories shaping Europe and the world.